Hi everyone, welcome again. In today's video, I wanted to answer some of the questions I recently got under one of my videos, regarding the intuition versus some higher guidance versus some signs. Sometimes all of that is getting confusing, and I wanted just to describe and maybe compare how you can tell the difference between one and another. So all begins in those moments when you're lacking the clarity. Sometimes it's easy to go with the flow. You perfectly know where you should go. But there are days um, that you seem to be on a crossroad. Like you don't know what's the next step. Um, 1 minute you think you know the answer, you're going forward, and then suddenly stops you. Where is the guidance, where is this intuitive thoughts, and how you can actually trust your intuition. So it was coming to me that intuition can be divided into different subgroups. They can come from different levels, different dimensions, you could say, and it depends which kind of level you're considering. There is psychological intuition that is based on your emotions, based on your experiences and past, maybe some traumas. Some of them are healed, some of them are still surfacing along the journey. So that's one type of an intuition that it's kind of guiding you, um, how to avoid uncomfortable situation, maybe some conflicts, or even some self limitations, or maybe self security, if you're supposed to face some of the situations. So those kinds of, like, psychologically it will be working for you just to prevent you from experiencing something that can be painful, can be uncomfortable. And here, one thing is, sometimes this intuition can be guiding you to protect yourself, but at the same time those will be the limitations that you have to cross. So this is very important in those moments that you feel the fear, you feel some limitation, and it's stopping you. And your intuition, in this sense, it will be trying to keep you safe, but at the same time keeping you from growing. So those kinds of situations are very important to identify how you can move forward. Is it really dangerous for you, or is it just your fear of the unknown and uncomfort that is related to it, because in the past it happened and you don't want this to happen again? So you see, sometimes those fears can be a little bit tricky, and they can really stop you from making the next step. um, Another type of intuition is related more to the emotions itself. So they might be there might be some situation from the past that caused you so much traumas. You've been through this once, you don't want this to happen again. It's somehow connected to the fears itself, but also there is this emotional component that you want to keep yourself in this safe position and avoid emotional disappointments, emotional, um, maybe some arguments. You're just seeking for peace, and you want to keep it that way. You avoid confrontations, for example, because all you want to do is your peace of mind. So sometimes those intuitions can guide you to just keep quiet instead of really speaking up for yourself. So you see, intuition can be guiding you, but again, it will be guiding you towards maintaining peace, but for the price of, again, growing, because you will do anything it takes just to maintain the peace. But in those peaceful states, as we know, it's hard to grow. You need to go and speak for yourself, and sometimes, if even if it gets messy, even if those conversations are not comfortable, you just have to speak your truth. And one other type that I wanted to talk about, which is a little bit more subtle, it's, you can call it spiritual intuition, or a little bit of divine intuition or divine guidance. And from my understanding, or the way I observed it, normally is a little bit less subtle. It comes unexpectedly, and most of the times it comes when your mind is at peace. So imagine you are having these turmoils and you are in this crossroads for days, maybe weeks, and finally you let go. You leave it up to the energies, up to the universe, just to sort it out. You kind of explored all the options, positive, negatives. You kind of make up your mind, but also kind of surrendered. You made some choice. You felt like maybe it was a very difficult choice, but you overcome this mental process. You were ready mentally, you were ready to make this big step. And from now on you're thinking, maybe, oh, I made up my mind, I'm ready to take this big step. And then maybe a few days later you are having those very random conversations out of nowhere, people kind of reaching out to you, speaking to you about this very subject and providing you some kind of a guidance, but it's a very unexpected one. Sometimes it comes from very unexpected people itself, maybe in a workplace, maybe on some random people on the street. But you will realize those conversations are trying to guide you. I think the most powerful guidance that we are getting, as far as external world is considered, I think it comes from people. And I've learned to really listen when other people are talking to me. It's not that much I want to be influenced by them, but I'm asking myself this question, like, who really is speaking in those moments? When I shut down fears, I shut down my mental processes because I surrendered to the energies. I was ready to receive anything that comes my way. And then I'm having those random conversations that can kind of remind me that there is another option to consider. Maybe you forgot about something, maybe you overlooked. So sometimes those moments feels like a cold shower that comes to you and you keep wondering, like, what happened? Like, I had it planned, I had put everything in my mind, I knew the answer, I knew I'm gonna take some very difficult decision, I'm gonna do it. You prove to yourself you're ready to do it. And at the same time, divine is knocking and saying, hey, we have something else for you. We're glad that you've done your work, like you've proved yourself that you could do this step. But at the same time, we have a little bit of side road for you to take. There will be something more. So you see, sometimes those spiritual intuitions can tell you something that you don't necessarily want to hear, something that feels and leaves you even more confused because it doesn't match your current mental process that you were kind of trying to maybe adjust in your life. And those are difficult moments and very important moments because, in a sense, it's a redirection for you to take a proper path. Um, but as I said, those only come when your mind is still, when you surrender and you're really ready to listen, not to judge. If someone is giving you another position, like very contradicting opinion on the situation, and you didn't expect to hear that from anyone, you were not even looking for guidance, but someone reached out to you. And even for me, it was happening in the last few days that those messages, they were really contradicting my current state, but they were coming from several sources, through people, but also, from tarot, of course. Like, I didn't believe the cards itself because, sometimes we are just putting that into our minds maybe too much. But especially, you will see from several places that there are coming some information that they were not in your head. They just came from nowhere. So really, in those moments, pay attention to. I really like when those things come because it feels like they are bringing you down to earth. Sometimes our minds tend to wander. We tend to build those beautiful scenarios a little bit too much in this dreamy state. But we are still here. And just remember, this evolution should really take a proper order. So, again, this collaboration with the energies, it's nothing wrong to get those cold showers and just reconsider what the intuition is telling you. Um, Maybe additional point I wanted to say here is, normally those spiritual intuitions that I mentioned, they come when we try too much, we are pushing too much to go with the flow. We see some picture, like a little bit of picture that we want to get, and we kind of put in our head some example, that some idea, oh, that's how it should be, that's how it should be, my move, I can see that coming, and I will be pushing myself into this just to fit to this picture. So again, personal example, it feels like if you try too much too fast, you will feel those contradictions with yourself, even though you try to make up your mind, to fit this divine plan as you saw it previously. But you will be feeling something feeling off, and suddenly those intuitions will be kind of, mm, maybe confirming those deep nudges that you were getting, like something was off. I can sense that there has to be different solution. Those solution will start coming to you. So I treat it as redirections. It feels like they come really in a proper time. The moments that maybe we overlooked some lessons, maybe we didn't even have a chance to learn the lesson because we didn't have a proper example. That's why I'm saying sometimes those intuitions are, or extra messages that we get from external sources, they can come in a workplace, although you would expect to have the same kind of messages coming from your family or the very various situations. Um, so I call them as blessings in disguise, uh, because you may not feel comfortable hearing that, but once you reconsider, you can feel how they are really expanding your view and trying to see those solutions that you were striving for so hard. You were trying to find the answers, you were trying to find a proper way to proceed, and they just come in the least expected moment, and of course not the way you want it. um, and finally, last thing I wanted to talk about, because people were asking also, um, is what about the timelines? And what about if we are seeing someone on different timeline, that we see these visions that are happening, and can we trust them? So for example, we can have some visions or dreams about person that we consider as our twin flame, for example, or our soulmate, and we can see that in the vision. We can see, for example, having family with them or going for a travel, and it feels real. And how much you can trust those. And my take on this is better not to put that much attention to it, because at this moment we are not sure which timelines we are considering, which dimension we are considering, whether if that it's some memory from the past life. There is a little bit of the shady idea around that. And I've already had that with several connections, not just, the person that originally got me ignited. It was several times I could see joining someone's family. I could see someone with another soulmate just having conversations. And it was just kind of showing me how I would react if I would be in this situation. But it doesn't mean, it's not a promise. It doesn't mean that it's gonna happen. It might have happened in another timeline. It might have happened if you've done different decisions in the past, maybe. So I wouldn't pay that much attention, because the last thing you wanna do here, it's program yourself and put any expectations towards the outcome with any specific person. Because anytime you try to do something, I mentioned that you can try too hard to go with the flow, and you will get redirected, because it is not up to you to find the right solution. It's up to you to be ready to go with the flow, and you will get tested. Who is in this behind the steers? Are you trying to be behind the steers, or are you really ready to maybe be more patient, maybe be ready to receive some guidance, but in a later time, step by step, as it should be? So I think this video will be important, especially in those moments that the planets are in very strong oppositions, very contradicting. So we are getting very mixed up messages. We are not sure which kind of intuition is. Like, are we sure we can follow it, or should we wait? I'm seeing some messages from different sources, and they are giving me some very different and various opinions. So As always, it's better to keep your inner guidance. But in those kinds of situations, I'm really encouraging everyone to never judge the source of information. So even if it comes from random people, especially if those moments feels to be arranged, those talks really aligned. Someone was there, I was there at the same time. It just happened, although it never happens. We never are meeting in this place, and then bam, we had this conversation, and that was very important for me because it gave me new new way to look at things. um Hopefully that clarifies a little bit how you can um, differentiate between those different intuitions. And I know it can be a little bit messy, but if anything, any kind of decisions or you're navigating, you should do from the space of peace and clarity. And the moments that you don't have a clarity, it's not up to you to push towards and go blindly, because that's your next step, how it should be. If you're trying to push too much forward, you will get redirected. You will get lesson from the universe also to wait. And if something doesn't feel clear, that means that that's just the time for you to stop, reconsider, just relax, and be patient to get further guidance. So thank you for watching. um, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have any more questions, just put them in the comments and I will answer them next time. See you guys, and good luck on your journey.